I'm reading the Bible in 1 year, and I just did part one because the conversation in part one was so heavy. I didn't want to rush it. I've never read anything as bizarre as I did. So go watch part one if you haven't watched it. Okay, part one we read the book of Numbers, chapters 4 and 5. Chapters 5 was the bizarre part to me. So go read in the book of Numbers, chapters 5, and tell me what you think in the comments. All right. So every single day I read the Bible in 1 year, and I read through the Old Testament, New Testament, Psalms, and Proverbs. Today I broke it into two. So in the part one, I read the book of Proverbs and the book of Numbers. Today, part two, I'm going to be concluding. I don't even think we can finish Mark 12 today, but we're going to be looking at chapters 12 of the book of Mark, and then Psalm 48, the entire Psalm 48, very quickly. So another really funny issue is brought up again to Jesus, and it has to do with marriage. It has to do with marriage. I think that the issue of marriage is really such a sore point or a happy point for many people in the world. Okay, the last in chapters 1, they talked about if a man suspected his wife was unfaithful, the things that she needed to do to bring her to, I don't know, to I don't even know. I don't know. I really feel I really feel I feel a certain way about part 1. So please go watch it. Let me know. I wanted to start talking about it again, but let me not. Let me not. Okay, so go watch it or go read it. Okay, so now we're reading chapter Mark chapters 12 verses 18 to 37 as our New Testament reading today. Basically, people were asking Jesus about resurrection. He knew that a lot of people were beginning to question the issue of resurrection. It hadn't really been a thing before, but here is Jesus now talking about how he will be killed, he will die, he will resurrect. So people begin to ask him, is this resurrection thing really true? So a man is they now tell him a story, and he's like, okay, so tell us, what do you think about resurrection? There's a man who died, and he was married to a lady. So he dies and leaves her. That lady, by law, Moses' law tells us to make sure that the widow marries the brother so that he can have a child by her. This is assumed that if a man dies leaving behind a widow who has no child, his brother should marry her and get children by her for his brother. So if that happens, well, in this case, this man married the first brother. The brother died, no child, second brother, until she had married all 6 brothers. So that means she has been married to 7 brothers, and then eventually she too died. Now, if she gets to heaven, whose wife will she be? I would think common sense would be like, okay, it's the first husband, right? But they are like, everybody has married her, so everybody, are we all supposed to share her in heaven? And Jesus is like, ah, yeah, yeah, ah, yeah, 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 yeah. You guys, do you even read the scriptures at all? Do you read the scriptures? You don't read the scriptures, and you don't know God's power. So let me help you understand something. When people die, they don't there's no marriage in heaven. The moment they die, they become like angels. So when you die, you are done with your work here on earth, and you show up, you are like an angel. In other words, you are like a spirit in heaven. You are no more worried about earthly things like marriage and sex and unfaithfulness and all of those things. You are like angels. Let me see if I can find it and read it exactly how it was said. I read this in the New Living Translation today, but let me just say that so that I don't. Mark 4:12. Mark 12. So in my Bible, things that Jesus said are written in red. So this is what Jesus said to them. Are you not therefore mistaken, because you do not know the scriptures nor the power of God? For when they rise from the dead, when those who are dead rise from the dead, I guess in heaven, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but they are like angels in heaven. But concerning the dead, those who have died, they rise, those who have died, that they rise. Okay, so King James English, right? So concerning those who have died, because I said the issue of resurrection was being discussed. So Jesus is saying, concerning those who have died, right? There was something that God said when he appeared to Moses in the burning bush. And he said here, have you not read in the book of Moses, in the burning bush passage, how God spoke to him saying, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob? He is not the God of the dead, but of the God of the living. Therefore, you are greatly mistaken. So what he was saying there was, didn't you hear what God said when he appeared to Moses in in the burning bush. He said, I'm the God of Isaac, Jacob, and that means that they are somewhere alive. He didn't say, I was the God of Isaac, of Jacob, of Abraham. I am the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob. So they are alive somewhere. So when people die here, they show up somewhere else, and God remains their God, at least for those people. So the issue of marriage does not, there's no marriage in heaven. So just settle yourselves with enjoying your marriage down here, and stop bothering yourself about who will be married and who will be married to who when you get to heaven. So that was what they discussed in the book of Mark. In the book of Mark, chapter 5, verses 18 to 37. So reading the book of Psalms, we're going to read chapters 48. I'm moving quickly. The book of Psalms, chapters 48. I like to read the book of Psalms straight up. There's so many things to explain here, but I just like to read it because sometimes... Okay, let's go. I'll do this in a minute. Glory to the God in Zion. Great is the Lord, great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. In the city of the Lord, in the mountain of his holiness. That's verse 1. Beautiful in the... All right, so beautiful, verses 2. Beautiful in elevation, the joy of the whole earth. It's Mount Zion, sides of the Lord, the city of the great King. I couldn't resist. So verses 1 and 2 is a very popular song when I was growing up, okay? It's Mount Zion, side of the Lord, the city of the great King. All right, so verse 3 says, God is in her palaces, he is known as her refuge. For behold, the kings assembled, they passed by together. They saw it, and so they were marveled. They were troubled, and they hastened away. Fear took hold of them there, and the pains as of a woman in birth pangs. And when you break the ship of Tarshish with an east wind. As we have heard, so have we seen. In the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God, God will establish it forever. We have thought, O God, on your loving kindness in the midst of your temple, according to your name, O God, so is your praise to the ends of the earth. Your right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of your judgments. Walk about in Zion, go all around her. Count her towers, mark well her bulwarks. Consider her palaces, that you may tell it to the generation following. For this is God, our God forever and ever. He will be our guide even to earth. So that marks the end of our readings for today. I think the Old Testament really destabilized me, the reading of it today. So I'm going to have some thinking about it. I'll probably share my thoughts tomorrow, but I'd love to hear your comments. That's the book of Psalms today. If you've enjoyed this, share, like, comment, subscribe, and then come tomorrow and watch. See you tomorrow.